Hey guys, Sarah with MyGenePro here with my husband, Dr. Wes Fox. And we found some interesting, we've been telling you guys a lot about how genetics can affect your DNA, but not only your DNA, but your children's DNA. And we found a really interesting article on how even your grandparents' lifestyle and things that happen to them can affect the expression in your DNA.
Yeah, so I'm going to read some of this. It just came out just recently, and I haven't got a chance to digest it all. But essentially, it's saying that your behaviors and your experiences and your emotions can be brought on from your grandparents or ancestors. So they give the example of Jews who had grandparents that were chased from Russians, Chinese parents that had to live through ravages, parents or grandparents having to live through the Great Depression. Essentially what happens is it leaves a genetic or molecular scar on your DNA, and so that just essentially sits within our genetics. Everything else about your DNA remains the same, but you have those little scars from your grandparents of the traumatic childhood that they had, whether it was nurturing or not nurturing. So the psychological and behavioral tendencies you might have inherited. So I like the article. It says you might not have just inherited your grandma's knobby knees. You might also have her predisposition towards depression, anxiety, panic attacks, anything that she suffered as a newborn. You could directly have the predisposition for that as well. It also talks about parents that were nurtured, so that they were loved on and had a loving relationship. Those kids expressed those characteristics more. And so what they're starting to realize is, despite if you had good genes or bad grandparents who went through a lot of trauma in their life, it doesn't mean that you're stuck with that. They were talking about within the epigenetics, we can actually now target specific genes via certain treatments to change those patterns. So if you're struggling with anxiety or mood disorders or anything like that, there's a way to get better from that, and you can start treating the actual genetic scars via using epigenetic treatment to essentially activate genes that you want and deactivate the genes that you don't want. So this is like really, really good research into the future of medicine. Sarah's going to talk a little bit about meditation and what that can do too.
Understanding mostly that we don't have to be a victim to depression. We don't have to be a victim to the lifestyle that our parents might have had or that our grandparents might have had. I grew up, in the history of my family, there was a lot of addiction, a lot of alcohol abuse, and I grew up with this fear that was in my bloodline and that I was, had to be really, really careful about that. Otherwise, I could become susceptible to addictions. When we took a look at my genetics, it was actually really interesting because
said she's addicted. She
has
addictions.
Yeah, it said I definitely have the genetic marker for addictions. So what that tells me is, okay, yeah, I need to be careful, but I also have high control. So what that means is that while I may have a tendency to get really obsessed with certain things, and for me it's chocolate, I love it. Other people's, I can't. I'm always sneaking into the chocolate ice cream and stuff like that. But control is one thing. So for me, I just don't buy it most of the time because if I have one cookie, I'm gonna have 12. And so I just don't even go there. I just don't buy it because I have that kind of control. Whereas some other people, they struggle with addiction and they struggle with control. So there you might have a bigger issue. But
that's me.
Yeah.
No, it is. On my genetics, it says I have a high addiction risk and supposedly no control. But if you actually look at our family dynamics, I'm the one that has control, and it's because of the things that I've done over the years epigenetically to essentially train myself in my mind and discipline. Right. So I essentially fixed my genetics via my own epigenetics.
Right, which those DNA markers, they don't change. They're always going to be there, but you can suppress them or turn them on and off based on your lifestyle.
You can activate new ones that are beneficial.
Right. And that's what he did. I'm still learning, but I'm getting there. But what I wanted to talk about, and one thing that I use, because another thing that we learned about my genetics is that I always wondered why I was 0 to 100. I have an explosive personality. I go from...
What is 0 to 100?
Like I'm totally calm. Kids are screaming. I'm totally calm. And then all of a sudden, right, I'm just throwing stuff and freaking out. You've been there, so don't judge me. But I actually learned through looking at our genetics that this isn't me just being crazy or losing my mind, that there's actually a genetic predisposition to that type of behavior, which got me really pumped because knowing what I know about genetics, I can activate certain genes to help alleviate that tendency. And one thing that I do is meditation. And I was somebody who always laughed at meditation. I didn't think it was legit. I also just felt like it was a waste of time. And then when I started to meditate, my mind started to wander almost immediately. So
you would fall asleep.
Oh, I did fall asleep.
I'd come downstairs and she's like, I was like, how was your meditation?
What do you mean?
I fell asleep.
So it was good.
Yeah.
I can fall asleep literally anywhere, anytime. But no, I did. Yesterday, actually, I did fall asleep during meditation, and my 10-month-old woke me up. So neither here nor there, but the point being that meditation actually changes the expression of over 3,000 genes. And when we talk about that 0 to 100 explosive personality, or even the depression gene, we talk about your grandparents who might have had a traumatic childhood and activated those genes for depression or anxiety in you, and left those biological scars essentially, you can actually turn those off. You can turn on the good genes that can help you control your behavior, can help you control your tendencies. And I always suggest to every single one of our clients, breathing exercises. If you don't want to do meditation, you can find breathing exercises online.
They have guided meditation too.
Yeah, guided meditation. And it's just really about calming your mind, collecting your breath, and just getting yourself back on track so that you can essentially hit the restart button. But like I said, that actually alters the expression of your genes. So when you're meditating, know that you're not just turning off, here comes our 2-year-old, you're not just turning off depression genes, but you're also turning on genes that are going to heal, are going to detox, are going to regulate. So before I get...
And she's gone,
Yeah.
So... No, but we just want to teach people that obviously we have kids and this happens. I don't know, where you must have woke up from a bad dream. But to change a habit, so like to change your genetic markers and your, let's say you're struggling with anxiety or depression or anything like that. And everyone says it takes 21 days to relearn a habit, and it's actually not true. It takes upwards to 80 days or 90 days to really truly either break a habit or form that new habit. So this stuff that she's talking about, if you do it for the next 60 to 80 days, that's when you'll start to really notice a change, not just 21 days and give up. So we just recommend finding like an accountability partner, someone to help you implement these changes. But it can mean leaps and bounds for your life. So if you guys have any questions or you want something for us to cover specifically in health, leave a comment down below, and that will be one of our next videos that we could talk about. Like our page and share it with other people, and we look forward to helping you guys out. Thanks.